What is going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Living Freed channel. My name is Tyler Freed, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about how truckers, anybody in trucking really, whether you're a company driver, owner, operator, fleet owner, work in the industry, not driving, does not matter, and really any American, how you can become a tax-free millionaire, and how if you are specifically a truck driver, there is no excuse for you not to become a tax-free millionaire if you are watching this video. I'm going to explain to you exactly what you need to do in order to accomplish this, and how, again, how it's absolutely vital that you take this advice and you do it exactly the way I tell you, so that you can retire with dignity, so that you can retire with some freedom. So yeah, welcome to the channel. If you're new, this is the Living Freed channel. My name is Tyler Freed. Make sure you stay tuned till the very end of this video so you can see everything I'm going to be talking about, see and hear everything I'm going to be talking about, and like the video, sub to the channel, and check out more of my other content as well that I have posted on this channel. I do talk about, the trucking industry. I talk about finances, investing, business, all different types of content. And yeah, so thank you for being here. So I'm going to get right into it. So as you can see, I have up here, trucker, tax-free millionaire. And I have four different things written out: mindset, consumer, assets versus liabilities, and investment strategy. So to become a tax-free millionaire, one, you have to have the right mindset. Okay, and that's why I have that written down first, because mindset is everything. One, do you have the belief that it is possible to build wealth? Do you have that belief? A lot of people don't believe it is possible. A lot of people believe that, most millionaires inherited their money and you got to come from a wealthy family, or you got to be a doctor or a lawyer, or, a certain career. And that's just not true. 80%, it's like 80 to 90% of today's millionaires are first generation rich. So that means that 80 to 90% of them did not inherit that money. They built that $1 million or more net worth by just choosing a career where they made really good money, maxing out things like their 401ks. And in this video, I'm going to be going over the Roth IRA, and paying off their house, and or saving up, buying real estate, many different ways, or starting their own business and growing that business into a success. Many different ways people become millionaires in America. But like I said, in this video, it's going to be how to become a tax-free millionaire, specifically. But you got to have that mindset that it can be done, number one. And then you can learn the strategy and everything, like I have for number four. But one, the belief that it can be done. Two, the belief that you can do it. And you can. And what do you need to change in order for you to do it? Again, one, that the belief that it's possible. Two, consumer is the second thing I have written down here. Do you just think about consuming? When you get your paycheck, is all you think about is, what can I buy? What can I spend my money on? Am I buying, here's number three, assets, or am I buying liabilities with my paycheck? See, it's not necessarily what career you have, what job you do, whether you're a truck driver, lawyer, doctor, accountant, teacher, doesn't matter. It's what you do with the money you make from that profession that is going to be the determining factor whether you have any real freedom in your life. And so you have to change. You have to go from being a consumer who buys liabilities right here to buying assets. And, and then the fourth thing, again, that I have written down is the investment strategy. So in this video, I'm not going to talk about other ways to invest. I'll do separate videos on that. If you want me to, I can. But this is specifically maxing out a Roth IRA and becoming a tax-free millionaire. And so with this investment strategy, I'm not talking about, you could invest in real estate. You could save up, start your own business, grow a business. You can invest outside of a Roth IRA. You can do a 401k, Roth IRA, a individual brokerage account, invest in, of course, in those accounts, even in the Roth, you can invest in single stocks, bonds, index funds, mutual funds. But I'm going to show you pretty much the surefire way how to become a millionaire and do it very simply, tax free. So, but this goes for everything, by the way, the mindset, the consumer, the consumer mentality, buying liabilities. What are those things? Things like, cars, boats, and, just toys, right? And, clothes, and just being a consumer driven person, a materialistic person. I'm not saying anything's wrong with buying those things. I'm just a big believer in taking a large percentage, enough of your income, and investing it for the long run so that you actually have financial freedom later down the line with, again, a large percentage of your income. And now, this tax free millionaire thing that I'm going over isn't going to take a large percentage of your income. This should be something that anybody can do. I mean, really, you don't need to be a trucker to do that. But I'm talking to truckers because that is pretty much the bulk of my audience, people interested in trucking content. But if you're making a decent income, you should be able to do this. I think everybody can afford to do this if they really try. But again, you got to change that consumerist. You have to go from a consumer mindset to a, hey, and just being able to control your instant gratification desires. And yeah. So I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to pull this up. Right now, I have, and I'm going to give an example of that and what that consumer mindset is costing you. Right now, I have the average car payment in America is approximately $750. That's for new cars, and then for used cars, it's $530 a month. And so I have also pulled up here the Roth IRA contribution limit for 2025, and I believe this is going up by $500 in 2026. So let's just say, for the sake of this example, if you can put $7,000 into this Roth IRA account, and the beautiful thing about a Roth, and this is why I'm using this as the example to show you how to become a tax-free millionaire. The beautiful thing about the Roth is it's after-tax money goes into this account, and when you put money into this account, all the growth and all the dividends, all the income you make on the investments within this account are tax-free when you pull it out at retirement age. You are allowed to pull it out at age 59 and a half. And again, say you start investing in this at age 30 and you start pulling it out at age 60, that's 30 years of compounding growth and dividends being reinvested back into the funds that you're buying. And again, you're able to pull all that money out tax-free because you already paid taxes on the money going in, on the money going into that Roth IRA account. The 401k is the one where it's pre-tax money going into your 401k. You can put a lot more money into that than a Roth, but the 401k, same thing. At age 59 and a half, you can withdraw it without penalty. However, you're putting pre-tax money into that account, and when you withdraw it, you are paying ordinary income tax rates on that money coming out. The Roth, it's tax-free coming out. So, there's a lot of people that are against 401ks because what you're doing is just delaying paying the taxes on that money, versus a Roth where you've already paid the tax, you get it tax-free after the age of 59 and a half when you pull it out. So a lot of people will do an individual brokerage plus a Roth IRA, or they'll do the 401k plus the Roth IRA. That's for you to decide, but either way, you're going to pay the tax on the money. But some people want to defer it. Some people want to pay it now, so that's up to you to decide between the 401k and individual brokerage account. But when it comes to the Roth IRA, everybody should be doing this, like I said. And this is a way to become a millionaire tax-free. And, for you to not take advantage of this and all that compounding growth, and it being tax-free is absolutely insane. So as I alluded to, you look, 750 is the average new car payment, 530 is the used car payment. Well, if you can contribute 7,000 a year, and it's 7,000 a year, you can put it into it under the age of 50. If you're over the age of 50, it's actually 8,000 a year. But what I'm going to pull up is this calculator, and I'm going to take 7,000, okay, just for the example, divided by 12, and that's 583 a month. Well, most truck drivers get paid every week, so I'll do divided by 4 weeks, 145 a week. So in other words, most of you drivers watching this, really think about it. Most of you net, even after taxes and stuff, you're netting, I would say, 13 to 1,800 a week. You can afford $150 a week. You can afford that. Get out of debt. What do I always say? Get out of debt, stay out of debt. And when I say debt, that's everything, all consumer debt. So car payments, credit card payments, student loan payments, excluding your home, your mortgage. I don't think that's too bad. Your mortgage. I mean, yeah, you want to pay that off over time, but get out of debt excluding your mortgage. I am a believer. This is where I actually differ from Dave Ramsey. A lot of people say I'm like Dave Ramsey. Well, I agree with him when it comes to consumer debt, paying all that off. I disagree with him on not using leverage in real estate when it comes to real estate investing and or expanding a business. I'm actually against debt in trucking, the trucking business. That's for another video. Not entirely, but starting out I am. And when you're small, I am. But, when it comes to real estate and expansion and businesses, I actually do believe using leverage can be, you can do that safely and effectively. But most of you watching this has to do with your personal finances, not your business finances. Get and stay out of debt, then have a 6-month emergency fund. If you were out of debt and you were a trucker watching this and you make $1,200 to $1,800 a week after tax money going into your account every week, and you're out of debt, how can you not afford $150 to max out a Roth IRA? It's inexcusable, right? We would all agree that that's inexcusable. You should be able to at least max out that Roth IRA, because I'm going to show you what that is costing you. That car payment, right? Like I just showed you. It's pretty much that $583 a month is the average car payment in America. It is. That's the average car payment in America. And I'm going to show you, if you were to invest that money instead every single month for 30 years, what that equals. What am I trying to tell y'all before I get into all the numbers and everything? I'm trying to tell you to, yes, enjoy you work hard. You got to live your life along the way of building wealth, 100%. I'm not one of these people that says just don't do anything fun, but there's no excuse. Again, if you're out of debt and have an emergency fund and you avoid debt and you can invest 25 to 50% of your income, a lot of you can do that and still live a very comfortable and fun life as well. You can enjoy life too and build wealth. I think a lot of financial gurus or whatever you want to call them make it seem like you have to trade one for the other, and you don't have to do that. What you need to do is prioritize your financial future first, and then enjoy your life after that. Set yourself up first. Off the top, you get paid, you pay all your bills, you pay yourself first, and then you spend your money along the way and enjoy your life. You can do both. $150 a week is not breaking any of you. It's not, and y'all know that. It is not breaking any of you to invest into a Roth IRA. It is not. And so what I'm going to pull up here, a lot of people are going to say, well, what do you invest in that Roth IRA? I always recommend doing what I do. I invest in a low-cost index fund, or I would invest in low-cost index funds, or that's what I would tell people to do, because again, that's what I do. So right now I have pulled up VT, the Vanguard Total World Stock Market Index Fund. This index is if you buy this index, you are pretty much buying every publicly traded company in the world. Okay, you are buying the United States stock market and other countries as well, stock markets. And I buy this fund, and I pretty much, again, I buy the globe, and I dollar cost out every single week when I get paid, just like all of you. I take my money and I invest a percentage of that money in, or percentage of my income into this fund. Within my Roth IRA account, I buy this fund every single week. Within my individual brokerage account, I buy this fund every single week. I dollar cost average. I don't pick single stocks. I don't buy bonds. I don't buy crypto. None of that. I put 100% of my investments into the total world stock market index fund. Not telling anybody what to do, but this is what I do. I would recommend buy a low cost index fund with the majority of your investment money. Some of you want to pick single stocks, some of you want to buy some crypto, gold, silver. What I always say to people who want to do that, make that like 10 to 15%, 20 max percent of your portfolio. If you want to play around with some of your money, fine. Let's say you invest $1,000, put 800 into a low cost index fund, either a world stock market index fund or a total US stock market or S&P 500 index. And then that other 20%, if you want to buy gold, silver, crypto, stuff like that, do it with that smaller percentage of your portfolio. And you can do that within your Roth IRA. You can do that within all the accounts, 401k, brokerage accounts. They'll have those investments. But again, want to make it really simple where you don't have to worry about it. Pick a low cost index fund. This is what I buy: VT, Vanguard Total World Stock Market Index. The mutual fund version is VTWAX. And like I said, this is the globally diversified fund. You can look it up on stockanalysis.com. It'll show you the dividend yield, the P ratio, assets under management, holdings, almost 10,000 companies when you buy this. You can come down here and see the rate of return over the last 10 years and since the inception of this fund. It's been 11.39% over the last 10 years in VT. Year to date, it's 21.32. For 1 year, it's up almost 19%. For 5 years, 11.65. So pretty much it's averaged about 11% rate of return over the last 10 years. Okay. Now I'm not going to dive too deep into these indexes, but here's VTI. This is the total US stock market index. There's 3,500 holdings. Same thing. You can look at the dividend payout or dividend yield, all the different information on this site. It's a great tool, stockanalysis.com. You can use it for free, and you can look up these funds that I'm showing you. VTI is the total US market fund, like I said. You're buying the total United States stock market, so it excludes the other countries' international stocks. Some people only want to buy U.S. If you want to only buy U.S., when you buy this fund, you own the S&P 500, top 500 companies, but you also own the small and mid-cap companies, which is pretty much an extra 3,000 companies that you get exposure to. And as you can see, over the last 10 years, the U.S. has actually outperformed the global fund. You can see again, though, the average rate of return over the last 10 years, and then the max since the inception of the fund, but it's been about 14%. For the total U.S. market fund, and that's because U.S. has outperformed. U.S. stocks have outperformed international over the last 10 years. But again, like I've said in other videos, that does not mean that just because it has outperformed over the last 10 years means that the U.S. will continue to outperform international over the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. So that's up for you to decide on that. And or you could buy, the top 500 companies. Now VOO is the S&P 500. This is, again, the top 500 companies. Holdings, 507 companies, again, versus 3,500. In the total U.S. market fund, because you're buying the top 500 companies and you're excluding those small and mid-cap companies. But, the total U.S. market fund, the total in world fund, and S&P 500 are going to track very similar. Why? Because one, the US companies, just because you buy all US does not mean you don't have international exposure. Two, just because you're buying a global fund with international stocks does not mean those international companies don't have US and international exposure. The world economy, the global economy, especially these publicly traded companies, are international companies. Yes, they might be based in the US, some of them, and some of them might be based in other countries, but these are global companies. Yet Apple is a, US based company, but it does business all over the world, and that goes for all the companies in the S&P 500. So when you do buy a US stock market index, you have international exposure 100%. I just like adding the international based companies to my portfolio because they also have international and US based exposure as well, like I already said. But, some people don't want to do that. Some people don't want to have that international exposure. They'd rather just buy what's familiar and invest in US only. So to me, total US market, VTI, or VU, and there's mutual fund versions of that too. And you don't have to do Vanguard. Schwab has a total world fund, S&P, total U.S. market fund, Fidelity, all the different brokerage firms have these funds, their own version of it. Moral of the story, as long as you're buying a broad market index fund, and broad market means like the S&P, even though it's 500 companies, you own every single sector. It's market cap weighted. It's broad. You pretty much own the United States economy when you buy the S&P 500. The S&P, just some more facts about it. If you just buy the S&P, yeah, you're excluding another 3,000 companies, but the top 500 companies make up 80 to 85% of the total US stock market. It makes up about 60% of the total world stock market. Why is that? Because these index funds are market cap weighted. It means the largest companies represent a larger percentage of the overall indexes. And that goes for the countries too. The US market is about 60 to 65% of the world market cap. And that's because the United States companies are worth more in general as a whole than the other companies that are in the market, their international market put together. So, it's very simple. When you buy it's the weightings are just going to depend on what that index is tracking. So, the S&P, it's just tracking the top 500 companies. It is still market cap weighted within those 500 companies. Total US market fund, 80 to 85% of that is the S&P, but those other 3,000 companies you get exposure to. So if smaller companies do better than the larger companies in performance, you benefit from that. Same thing if you own a global fund. Let's say international begins to outperform US, which could happen. You have that exposure, right? So long story short, you want to have in my opinion, the ultimate diversification. I think I'm going to do a separate video on owning the globe versus just owning the United States, but I'll do that in a separate video. But I do believe that if you own, again, one of these three funds, you're good. As long as you have that diversification. Just the thing you want to stay away from with your long-term investments, like I said, about 80 to 85% of your portfolio, you want to stay away from trying to concentrate in one sector or, just being overly concentrated, mainly in one sector. A lot of people try to over concentrate in tech because it's outperformed in the past 10, 15 years, thinking, oh, that's going to continue on into the future. And that's not necessarily true. Market sectors go in cycles, countries go in, markets just go in cycles, and it's very hard to time those cycles. It's better to be as diversified as possible, in my opinion, focusing on increasing your income, cutting expenses, and investing more money versus trying to chase a slightly higher performance. What is going to happen is, VU or VTI, if you look at the max, the chart's very similar. Look at that chart. Look at that chart. That's the S&P. This is total US. It's the same thing. Here's VT. Same thing. Why? Markets are highly correlated to end on the whole, these different indexes, markets are highly correlated. If the U.S. is up, typically international is up. Same in reverse. If U.S. is down, international is going to be down. Markets are correlated, but sometimes, right? International can be down more or it can be up more when US is down, right? Sometimes there'll be a slight outperformance or a deviation, but over the long run, they all track very similar because markets are correlated. Long story short, in my opinion, get as much diversification as you can, and you will be just fine. But as you can see, the S&P go down, average rate of return over the last 10 years, 14.53%, right? So they are all very close. It was like 12 for the, 11 to 12 for the total world fund, 14 for total US, and, 14 and a half for S&P. Very, very close. They've all done very, very well. And so why do I say all that? Because one, you need to know about the mindset and all that. Two, you need to know about the account. I'm talking about the Roth IRA, becoming a tax-free millionaire. And then three, the different investments I would look at. Now, some of you may want to do a combination of total U.S. market and a total international market fund. You can do that. If you want to do that, there is a Vanguard Total International Fund, and you can just look that up, and you can combine the two. Some people want to do 50-50, 50% U.S., 50% international. Some people will do the weightings themselves, the way the market is weighted, like 60% U.S., 40% international. Not a bad way to do it. If you want to ask me about international funds. But now I'm going to get to the numbers, right? So I'm going to use a 30-year-old driver as an example, and I'm going to do 30 years because you can withdraw this money from your Roth IRA, tax-free at age 59 and a half. So I'm going to do it for, from 30 to 60. And how much do you currently have? Starting from nothing, how much will you contribute? I'm going to do that 583. And what do I think you'll average every year? I think on average, the market's going to do in the long run, 30 years from now, it's going to continue to do its historical rate of return. The historical rate of return of the S&P 500 has been roughly 10 to 12% per year. And that's, again, over the last 30 years, it's been doing that. And so I'm going to go with the lower end of that spectrum. As you saw, I showed you the return over the last 10 years. It's higher than 10%, but I'm just going to go with the lower end of the spectrum for this example. And what does that result in 30 years? $1.3 million. So let's say you have 1.3 million. All right, times 4%. You withdraw 4% a year from that. Okay, no, hold on. All right, times 4%. I don't know what it's doing. I think it's like 52,000 a year. Hold on. Divided by 4%. Yeah, 52,000 a year. That's what it would be. At a 4% withdrawal rate would be $52,000 a year, tax-free. All of that money is tax-free. So you're pretty much making $1,000 a week tax-free, and that's without touching the principal of your investment. So if you withdraw and you could probably withdraw 5%, I would say. I think that 4% rule thing is kind of, it just depends on where the market is at the time. But if the market's doing really well and we're in a bull market when you retire, why not take 5-6% out? And, you just kind of have to use your head on that one when it comes to withdrawal rates. But I use the 4% rule as a gauge to determine whether you're good to retire. And also, you don't want to withdraw too much, but you also don't want to withdraw too little and not enjoy any of the money you made. So, but moral of the story, this is after 30 years of investing that car payment versus buying a car that's going down in value and costing you interest and just giving you a lot of stress because you always have to make those payments. Um, but 52,000 a year, that does not include Social Security. A lot of you will make 2,500, 3 grand a month, maybe more with Social Security. So you have that. And then that's not including if you do what I talk about in other videos, where you invest in a 401k or you put money in a brokerage account above that. If y'all are making 80, 90, 100 plus thousand a year as truck drivers, and you can't save $150 a week and become a millionaire tax free in a Roth IRA, it's crazy. What are you doing out here? That's my question to you. What are you doing out here, and what are you doing with your money? You need to change that so that you don't retire broke. Let's say you want to work till you're 65. This is where the numbers get really crazy, because a lot of you aren't going to quit working at 60. You'll be worth $2 million. It'll be double. 4% a year on that is like an $80,000 income a year. And that, again, that's investing $145 a week for 35 years, and you have an $80,000 a year income. It's tax free, not including 401ks and Social Security and all of that. Y'all get the point, right? You get the point. Get into trucking. Take your job seriously. Get your experience. Stay safe out there. Get out of debt. Stay out of debt, and build up that 6-month emergency fund, and then invest. Open up retirement accounts. Open up a Roth IRA. Open up a 401k with your company, and then invest in a low-cost index fund with the majority of your money, and do it consistently over the course of your working lifetime, and you will have a wonderful career in trucking, because you won't be stressed out of your mind all the time because you've got your money right. And then number two, you will have a comfortable retirement, you and your spouse. And also number three, you'll build generational wealth. You will be able to pass these assets on to your children. That should be the goal of everybody watching this video. I know this is a long video, and every time I talk about this stuff, it's a long-winded thing. But and I tried to make it as quick as possible. But I want to explain it all to you so that you see exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm not just saying it, I'm visually showing you that it can be done, and it's really not that complicated to do it. So again, that's my video for today. God bless you all. If you want me to make more videos about this in the future, I will. Please leave a comment in the comment section down below. But that's my video for today. God bless. Thank you for watching, and peace out.